we play Scrabble.
Mm-hmm.
And so you put your hand in the bag, you grab a handful. If you get 7 exactly perfect, you got exactly 7. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's somebody with a mind trying to get 7.
Yeah.
Now you pull it out, blindfolded, put it on the little wooden display thing, and you get a 7-character word the first time.
Yeah, and it's improbable, but when you actually punch the values of that instance into these equations that measure functional information, you actually get, it doesn't require a lot of information to form one 7-letter word, even though it is quite improbable by our measure of things.
I just know it's never happened for me.
Yeah. It's basically whatever you got. 26.
You could sit there for a very long time, keep trying it.
Yeah, I know. Because there's only so many 7-letter words possible in English, but yet there are so many possible 7-letter combinations. And that ratio is what you'll find in the heart of those equations that measure information. And so at some point, and I haven't crunched the numbers for a 7-letter word, but at some point it becomes so improbable, and improbability has also to do with how many trials you have. So if it's just one person playing Scrabble or two, it's not likely to happen. Let's say you have the whole planet playing Scrabble. You have, let's say, 7 billion people playing Scrabble simultaneously. You've actually improved your chances of obtaining that through no intelligence whatsoever, just pulling the things out blindfolded, putting them on the tray, opening your eyes, and there it is. Somebody might have that. And so what you have to do when you're calculating the threshold beyond which you require an intelligent mind, you have to take these things into account. How many trials are we going to get? When we do that for life, and this is where we hit the punchline here, when we do that for life, we find that the average protein, which has approximately 300 letters, 300 characters or symbols with 20 different options per symbol. So that's a pretty long word if you're playing Scrabble, if you were going to try and come up with proteins playing Scrabble. So it's basically 20 raised to the 300th power. That's how many options there are. What you find is that there's a threshold, and it's measured in terms of information. So if you need, and information, as you might be aware from your cell phone again, can be measured either in bits or bytes. So 8 bits makes 1 byte. Well, when you crunch the numbers to see how many bits of information are required to code for the average protein, you're talking something like at least 240 bits of information. And that becomes, when you convert that to see what the probability is, you're never going to get that in the history of the universe. You're never going to get it in a Scrabble game, that's for sure. But the thing is, people come up with words all the time in a Scrabble game. How does that happen? It's because you have a mind here, and it's not just some random assembly of letters on your little wooden frame here. That's where the brain cuts in, the mind, and you actually organize these things into words. And so what that tells us is that we know, science knows there is at least one thing that can produce high levels of functional information, and that is intelligent minds. That is not up for dispute. Every time you type out a text, make an email, put something on Instagram, you are producing functional information. That is a cold, hard scientific fact. Now, here's the kicker. Science knows of nothing else that is able to produce high levels of functional information that they can demonstrate in a repeatable fashion. We have creative stories, but the creative stories fail every time. And the reason they fail is because of that ratio in the equation for information. The probabilities get so small, they will not happen. So you need a mind to step in and organize things. So that becomes a positive indicator. Let's say if you have something that requires 100 bits of information to produce, then you can say that is a threshold beyond which we can positively ID that artifact as being a product of an intelligent mind. When we do that for life, The fingerprints of an intelligent mind are all over the genome from one end of your DNA to the other.